Swing Kids is a Korean musical war film that I never got around to seeing in theaters. However, I wanted to check it out because I enjoy Korean cinema. And this movie is about during the Korean War, take place at a POW camp. A former Broadway dancer, a black man who's constantly trying to make money by having sort of ballroom dance fests to build up money so he can go back and find his wife in Japan. Not his wife, the mother of his child. And essentially this former Broadway star, Jackson, is accidentally sets one of the things on fire during a scuffle. There's a lot of different people that like to go to these halls to dance. One of them including a communist North Korean man who wants to learn tap dance. There's a young Korean girl who wants money. There's a Chinese guy who wants to lose weight, and a Japanese man who wants to get famous to find his wife. So together these five misfits must form a tap dancing team because the general demands that the Sergeant Jackson does so. So this movie sort of is a homage and captures the sort of feel and tone of a Gene Kelly movie, like one of the musicals, like Singing in the Rain or On the Town. It's like a sort of misfits getting together to put on a show. They all have their hopes and dreams, and the movie's really charming. There's this hilarious scene where these racist white soldiers, Americans, they grab the Korean guy and they throw him into a warehouse. They think they're going to beat him up, and then all of a sudden they start banging sticks together and they want to have a dance showdown. And it's just a great scene that sort of, turns the whole tropes on its head. However, there is one glaring error of this film. It's very heavy-handed. Halfway during the movie, it stops being a musical and turns into a full-on war film. One of the Korean man's schoolmates comes back from the front, and he's missing an arm and a leg, and he starts trying to stir up the revolutionaries in the POW camp. The Korean man who loves tap dance, he can't really show other people that he loves an American thing because, they're fighting the Americans. So he's got to keep that a secret. And that's the only source of conflict in the movie, is that this Korean man is afraid of other people finding out his love of dance. And it's not the greatest source of conflict because the movie ends up being the sort of violent war film. And just like there's shocking scenes of violence because it's trying to be two things. However, it doesn't really balance the tonal shifts. It's when you watch a Gene Kelly movie, you don't have Nazis with machine guns running around shooting people, which would be the equivalent. And so the movie feels really awkwardly like going back and forth between tap dancing madness and violent war things, and then the ending of the movie just completely steamrolls the rest of the film. The message of the film was trying to go for this sort of like music, art, and culture can, surpass racism and ideology, and it can take a Chinese man, a Japanese man, a Korean woman, a commie, and an American soldier to create a sort of wonderful communion of dance. But then war is an ugly thing and we'll stop that, and it just completely blows the theme out of the water, literally and figuratively. So Swing Kids has really good production design. I like the acting. The story's fine. The first half of the film is great, but then the second half of the movie just completely spits in the face of the other, and I don't know if that's intentional. They're trying to go for the emotional raw gut punch, but it feels kind of cheap and definitely doesn't work with the rest of the movie. It's the equivalent of having Singing in the Rain end with violent gangsters running into the movie studio and shooting everyone. So I give Swing Kids a 5 out of 10.